Hello, world. Hello. Hello, everyone. It is Friday night. It is 5 o'clock. Hello. Hello. Welcome to the stream. This is where your weekend begins. Summon Shoes. Good evening. Rykart. Good evening. Welcome, Gemma. Good evening. Or morning, whatever it may be, overseas. Hopefully, I can move this. Hopefully, it doesn't move the camera too much. Oop, yeah. Cord laying across the side of the camera. How are we all doing? Hope everybody had a wonderful week. I have had a very busy week. Early hours Saturday morning. And you're sick? Ooh, I'm sorry. Well, I hope you get better soon. Carol Miller, hello. Hello, Carol Miller. My son's been dealing with a little bit of a cold, and then he came home today from school and with a letter that said that one of the other students in his class had shown up this past week. They don't know which day but he may have been exposed to chicken pox. So better for seeing you. Donna M, good evening to all. Purple, good evening. Gayla, Donna M. Hello, Wixon. We got a little bit of everybody here. We have 10 people so far. I'm going to give this about 3 more minutes, and then we're going to start tonight's Friday night crime trivia. Now, you'll notice that there are probably about 5 questions that are dumb criminal that I kind of threw in here. They were just like random in another folder that I needed to close out because there's only 5 questions in it. So, we got 20 questions total. All 20, just like before, are multiple choice questions, A, B, C, or D. And one's the right answer. And we're just playing for fun. So just, there's no pressure. Use the internet, Google the answer if you think that'll help. Hello, Inner Peas. I didn't see Inner Peas. Hello, is it me you're looking for? Janet, good evening. Hey, Inner Peas and cement shoes. What surprise, huh? There's Inner Peas. Hey, folks, all the way up there. I'm sorry I missed you, sweetheart. I hope you had a wonderful week. Welcome to everybody. Been a busy week. Life on the River. Good evening, Life on the River, and welcome to Friday night trivia. I hope we are all doing well. 1 second here. Let me close. That's not what I wanted. I gotta turn my phone off. Well, I can turn it on silent because otherwise my phone would be blowing up. All right. Damn it. Low volume. I hate this new phone. Every time I want to turn the volume down, it automatically goes to something called Bixby. I don't know what that is. I'm I'm still uploading as often as I can, Will. I'm still looking forward to us collaborating. So am I. Rocky Road. Welcome, Rocky Road. Stormy day in the Pacific Northwest. Life on the river. Right now, it is raining where I am in the Pacific Northwest. We have sustained winds of 23 miles an hour with wind gusts of it says 20, because right here at the bottom of the screen is where I have the weather report. It's going by. Wind gusts as high as 28, but I've definitely seen gusts that are definitely higher than that so far tonight. Ricky Allen is creepy looking. He definitely is. He definitely is one creepy dude. There's something about him, and me and a couple other people were sitting around him talking. So I'll address this really quickly. But me and a couple other creators were sitting around and we're talking about this man. How does one go from 0 to 60, or go from no crimes, or no run-ins with the law, from that to murder? How do you go from here to here? Is there something that's out there that we just don't know about? Does he have, is he living like a double life? I mean, it wouldn't be unheard of for, and it's happened before. There have been killers who they had a perfectly, safe family life, a wife, children, stuff like that. And then on the weekends, in their spare time, they were out killing people or hunting or robbing or doing something. Mod GTS. Snow in southern interior of British Columbia, Donna. Ooh, that doesn't sound good. All right, we're gonna get this thing going here in just a minute. Scroll up here, make sure I caught everybody. Thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up. It definitely. If you enjoy trivia. So here we go. Get the first one up here. Excuse me. You all remember this picture? That's my cursor rolling around on top of it. All right, first question. Let's get over here. First question. Oop, that's question number 2. You're not supposed to do that one yet. All right, first question. Valerie Solanas was an angry woman. She has so much pent up anger towards so many people. In 1968, she just couldn't hold it back any longer. Who did she try to kill? We have a tornado watches and warnings in north. What is Rocky Road lady? Where is NWAR? Northwest AR, Arizona? I don't know. But who did Valerie Solanas try to kill in 1968? Well, so far we had DCCCD. I just watched a tornado warning channel. Ryan Hall, so scary. What's happening? I was convinced as a little boy that the trees that in the forest that was like across the family farm from us, I was convinced that it made an arrow and pointed at our house. Tornadoes, after a while, in the tornado warnings, you wonder how some people can get hurt or killed by tornadoes. You become so complacent after a while. Northwestern corner of Arkansas, Duggar area. Okay, thank you, Rocky Road lady. That was like North NW Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas. But I was from Wisconsin, so the tornadoes, they happen all the time. I mean, so often that sometimes you didn't know what was going to be there. We've lost a couple of barns and outer buildings, lost factories, watched parts of the town destroyed. I mean, you name it. We've never been like completely devastated by tornadoes. So high winds is what gets you, 99% of the time. And then the flash flooding and everything else that comes with it. It's not good. And anybody that's in harm's way from a tornado, I hope that you're able to seek shelter and be able to ride it out. Northwest. All right. My sons and family live in north central Arkansas. Ooh. All right. Question number one. The correct answer is C as in cat. Andy Warhol. Yes, and that is a picture of good old Andy, the pop artist himself, Andy Warhol. Question number two. What century was formal English jury system formally founded? In what century was the formal English jury system formally founded? Was it A, 10th century, B, 14th century, C, 21st century, or D, 12th century? I've always wanted to do that, Janice. Storm chasing. I'm not kidding. Even if with all the traumatic, events that I lived through, with storms, growing up, I always thought that'd be fun, to tag along with storm chasers. I've seen them, especially like the month of like June, towards the end of June, in the heartland of America. I've seen quite a few of them. You'll see them like pretty hard to miss them. I mean, the specialized vehicles they use, they're not like using little Toyotas, and they're not using like in the movie, basic little pickup trucks. They're specialized vehicles that they use. Hooked. We got B's, D's. I would join Storm Chasers anytime. Seems very exciting. It does, doesn't it? And good evening, Starfire and Donna M. I'm sorry if I missed you both earlier and saying good evening. Hope you both had a wonderful week. Yesterday I drove through a blizzard in Wyoming. Wow. In Wyoming. I've driven through quite a few blizzards there. Ricart blizzards, complete whiteouts where you can't see, but maybe 3 feet if you're lucky from the hood of your vehicle. Now that's got to be scary as hell, especially knowing you have all that weight that you're pushing down the highway. You can't stop as quick as some other things trucks or cars can. It's got to be scary though. Heck, I'll go with A. Yeah, I'm glad he's Reichardt's okay too. All right, question two is the answer is D as in dog. The 12th century, the formal English jury system was founded in the 12th century. Love the Sun 100. Good evening. Welcome. All right, question three. It is up for dispute, but what famous person did Robert Ford shoot and kill? Is it A, Jesse James, B, Jack Ruby, C, the sheriff, or D, Clyde Barker? Oops, I should have known that being English. You hope you get a blizzard soon, Starfire? Ryan Hall, he's just an awesome close to spot on. Well, Janice, I have not had the opportunity to watch Ryan Hall. You said that's on the Weather Channel. I don't watch television, but if I can stream it, here in my studio, I'll watch him. You love snowstorms? I love snow and snowfall to a point. I don't love it so much when I have to drive great distances in it. Where I live now, we have a lot of transplants who have come here, for work and to live, that are from Texas, California, New Mexico, areas. A lot of people have transplanted here, and they don't know what to do if a quarter of an inch of snow falls on the ground. I mean, we have one tire shop in the city, that's closest to me. One. It's called a Les Schwab, and they'll have cars lined up around the block, for people who panic, and want all-terrain tires, or they want snow tires, or they want chains or whatever. Just people just trying to get in clamor to buy anything they can. Anytime even just a trace of snow falls here. Blizzards are safer than tornadoes, though. I would guess that. I mean, I've never been in a blizzard with 200-mile-an-hour winds. I went to Vancouver once with a quarter of an inch. That would be fun. But yeah, people they lose their absolute mind around here when it snows. Mr. Chevy. Question 3. It's up for dispute, but what famous person did Robert Ford shoot and kill? Going by the picture of this dude. Ladies and gentlemen, the correct answer is A, Jesse James. And that is the reported death photo of Jesse James. Now, in the Old West, when an outlaw or a lawman, or just any old civilian, was who died, they used to put them in an open coffin, and they would prop them up alongside of a building for people to pay their respects. That was the way that they mourned them. Or they set them out, like this. What's behind him is kind of curled up is the death shroud. It's basically a sheet, and they would wrap him up in, and then they stuck him into a pine box and into the ground. Now, there are people who believe in the conspiracy that Jesse James didn't die and Robert Ford didn't kill him, but and that he lived out his life, in old age in like in New Mexico or Wyoming or someplace. They say the same thing about Billy the Kid and some of the other outlaws, that they were able to escape, the final justice. Ernest Hemingway with his head on a lion. But it's kind of interesting if you think about, though, how we've changed, how we used to mourn people. I mean, it was very common, not even 100 years ago, that we would have, you'd have your funeral and the embalming process, if it was done at all, to be done right in your living room of your home. I know from my family, my great grandmother and my great grandfather, after they both died, they weren't embalmed at home, but we had their services right in the parlor, which is part of the home. It's kind of like a living room area, formal living room area where as a grandchild I was never allowed to go, but we just moved the furniture out and we had the funeral right there in the home for both of them. And that was just how things were taken care of. You didn't have like a funeral home where everybody went and mourned, and did the services there. You did it at home, and then the grandma, great grandma, and grandpa went out the front door. They loaded them into the vehicle and took them to the cemetery, and then we buried them. Now we the family farm. We don't have anyone actually buried on our actual family farm, and we've had that farm for. See, this is 2022, so I'd have to actually do the math on that. 96 years? 2. That's 6. Yeah, 96 years we've had that farm. Still in the family. Nobody farms, though. All right. Question 4. The mob wars. One man stood out from the crowd because he was extremely cruel in his methods to kill his rivals. His name was Bugsy Siegel. What is his real first name? What was Bugsy Siegel's real first name? We are looking for the name, not that he went by, but the name that he was born with. Is it A, Samuel, B, Clint, C, Benjamin, or D, Victor? What was Bugsy Siegel's real first name? His birth name, not the name that he went by. Smoke him if you got him. My elbow itches. I think I got bit by a bug. I didn't notice it. A, B, C's. Mob wars. One man stood out from the crowd because of his extreme cruelty. One man that Bugsy Siegel wanted to get back at, I'll tell you, just one of them. That's not the grossest. It's definitely not the most PG-13, or higher rating. But one of the men that he wanted to get out of the way, who was in the way of profits, basically. He had the man's hands cut off while he was alive. Not because he stole anything, because he wanted him to get out of the way because his hands were in the way. He was cutting into profits. They eventually killed him. Then they dumped him into the river. But B, because I like that name, Clint. Cement Shoes says it's Benjamin. Jan is going with C, Benjamin. Don't know how I stayed employed. Cement Shoes, it makes sense. What was Bugsy Siegel's first name? Not the name he went by, but the name that he was born with. Cement Shoes. Arthur has come to see me. Give me warmer weather. Sasha, good evening. Good evening, all. I'll say Samuel, says Sasha, and I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Weekend. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, but I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Thank you for joining us tonight. Love the sun. We'll be right back. All right. The correct answer to question 4 is C as in cat. Benjamin is his birth name. But ladies and gentlemen, when he was younger, when Bugsy Siegel was a younger man, going through before he got connected and became a made man in the mob, he went by the name of Victor. Everybody knew him as Vic or Victor. That was a name he went by, but he was born with the name of Benjamin. I'm back, was cooking dinner. Oh, Gayla, my daughter made me cookies. She made me a dozen snickerdoodles. All right, question 5. Where is the current headquarters of Interpol? Is it A, London East End, B, Belfast, Ireland, C, Tokyo, Japan, or D, France? The cell phone is worse. Keys are literally the size of a chiclets. If anyone remembers those chiclets, yeah. Is it a Cricket? A Cricket phone? They have big buttons. I'm about to get one of them. I can still see the numbers. Thank you, Will. I hope you had a fantastic week. I did, Sasha. I was extremely busy, but I had a great week. Thank you. RJ, welcome. Welcome to tonight's trivia, RJ. I hope you had a wonderful week. So we have C, a couple A's, D, C's, A, D, A. Where is the current headquarters of Interpool? I baked a homemade apple pie. Ooh. Wow. We started buying all the shelf staple items that we're going to need for Thanksgiving today. Shelf staple items or items that can be frozen. We're going to have 16 people here for Thanksgiving. France, D, I think it's a lion. Cold in Colorado, warm tomorrow. You, Juicy Jules, good evening and welcome. Silicon Valley, that's inner peace. Yeah, Shelly J, good evening and welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a wonderful week. Thank you for joining us. Silicon Valley. No, it's not Silicon Valley. The correct answer for question 5 is D as in dog, France. Interpool is headquartered in France. Although there is, an office in London, one in Belfast, one in Tokyo, but they are headquartered in France. All right, question 6. Who am I? I co-founded Death Row Records, and now I'm doing time for manslaughter. Is it A, 50 Cent, B, Suge Knight, C, Nipsey Russell, or D, Eazy-E? Do you make a special dish? No, not really. I mean, I don't know, I guess it will all depend on what people consider a special dish. We'll make everything. We're gonna make an 11-pound turkey, and then we're making well, it's starting off as a 12-pound roast, but the roast will probably cook down to about, I'd say 10 pounds. We'll probably lose a couple pounds and during the cooking process. Rick and Morty, my grandson's age 13 likes. Love Rick and Morty. Pickle Rick. Shelly J is going with D. Life on the River, D. Lady, welcome to the chat. Glad you could join us. Glad Barry Morphew. Oh, well, there's a case that that is long overdue for justice. When are we going to get justice for Suzanne? That's Suge, damn phone. So we are all invited after we our family here. Good for you. I've never early for anything. We are all family here. True. D question mark? The correct answer for question 6 is B as in boy. B as in boy. Suge Knight co-founded Death Row Records. Barry Morphew was smart. Not like Watts. Talk to cops one time, open your mouth and all your guts fall out. Hide behind alcohol and the wife knew. Move over to the other page here so I can move on to question 7. In which of these countries is the death penalty still used? Is it still used in Belgium, China, Australia, or Denmark? Hi, Gone Girl. Hugs to you as well. I hope you're feeling better. I cook a chuck roast in a large Dutch oven pan. Doesn't shrink much, and that's awesome. I didn't pick the roast, Janice. Another family member bought it, and then they brought it here, and I have it. And out here, just outside the studio, I have a deep freeze, and we have another refrigerator, so it's in there. So it's actually frozen. It's in the deep freeze, not in the refrigerator. But I'll pull it out, and there's a big, huge fat cap on it. So I'm sure that we'll lose a good portion of that, through the cooking. I didn't buy it. I don't even know what the butcher they bought it at. I remember Nipsey Russell from the 70s. Nipsey Russell. China, I have no clue. Eek. CBE, Texas. Well, we all know in Texas they use the death penalty. They use the death penalty more than any other state in the United States of the 50, 48 lower, and counting Alaska, Hawaii, they have the 50 states there, not counting the District of Columbia. Smith Shoes, the trial was going to be held where I put the trial was dismissed 9 days before it was going to start. Yeah. Which of these countries is the death penalty still used? Question number 7. B. Fremont County, Colorado. They only have one shot. If a body is found, things can change. Fat cap upward. It will set self-based the roast. Yum. That's true, Shelly. But we're going to have to figure out how we do, and that's going to be the biggest thing is how do we cook all this food? Obviously I only have one oven in my house, and my mother-in-law, she doesn't live too far away, so some of the things we're going to cook there, and then bring here, and then and like finish them off cooking here. It's good. There's a lot of coordination that has to happen when you're feeding that many people. But we're used to it. Colorado. Man, there was a serious rash of murders that took place there in Colorado for a while. All right, question 7. The correct answer is B as in boy, China. They still use the death penalty. China. You will start fire. I will have to see that. All right, question 8. Move the thing away so you can actually see D. All right, willing to die to lose a few pounds. In the 1980s, the inventor of this diet and exercise plan was murdered. What was the name of the diet and exercise plan? Was it A, willing to burn fat, B, the Scarsdale diet, C, hot water H2O Express, or D, the Jenny Craig diet plan? Willing to die to lose a few pounds. In the 1980s, the inventor of this diet and exercise plan was murdered. What was the name of the diet and exercise plan? B, B, D. That's a great idea. Crock pot is an optional for a roast if you like crock pot food. I do. When I need my oven. We use our crock pot. One of the things that I like to make in the crock pot You should look up a recipe for this. You probably really like it. It's called Easy Lasagna. Instead of like lasagna noodles, though, you use like penny pasta, but you just make it like a lasagna, but you dump everything in, the meat, the cheeses, and the sauces, all of it, like half of everything at once, and just let it cook down. And then you add it, and you start building it up in layers in the crock pot. It's so good. But then you start adding the cheese, and after it's cooked, you add the layer of cheese and the layer of sauce, and it's so good. But the other thing I use it for is I make Polish sausage and sauerkraut in the crock pot, because I can make it early in the morning before we all have to leave, and set it on low, and then by the time I come home, it's usually pretty much done. What did someone flip out because they didn't lose any weight? Oh, I wish it was that was the reason, cement shoes. It was actually a pretty, when it comes to the 1980s, it was actually a pretty reasonable diet plan and exercise plan. Cement, Lego my ego or else. Since I bought the Dutch oven, I haven't used my crock pot. We actually have 3 crock pots, but there's only one that we use a lot. Now for Thanksgiving, though, we'll use this, and they're all different sizes. One's a really big one, and then we have a medium one, and we have a little tiny one. But the little tiny one we'll use for holding gravy, for Thanksgiving, because you can take it, and then the whole thing, the cord comes off it, and you can put that right on the table, the serving table. Rachel W., good evening. Welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a wonderful week. Will, sorry, I haven't said hello yet. Well, hello, Gene. I'm sorry if I missed you, and I didn't say hello to you either. I hope you had a wonderful week as well. All right, willing to die to lose a few pounds. In the 1980, the inventor of this diet and exercise plan was murdered. What was the name of the diet and exercise plan? Ladies and gentlemen, the correct answer for question 8 is B as in boy, the Scarsdale diet. His name was Herman Tarnover. I think that's how you pronounce it. Tarnover. Tarnover. He was actually killed by a jealous ex-lover who killed him. But now the exercise and diet plan, the Scarsdale diet, basically in a nutshell, you slowly cut back on the amount of food and bad habits that you had that were making you obviously fat. And then as you cut back, you slowly did low impact exercises. If you couldn't do them, he had a whole series of exercises for somebody who where it actually used a chair. So you could exercise just sitting in a chair or standing behind the chair and holding onto it. I mean, and it was the 1980s. I mean, this was being, this stuff was, he came up with this. I mean, that was way ahead of its time. Because you got to think about some of the other stupid things we were doing in the 80s. We still thought you could jiggle fat off, and we thought that, you could, sweat it off with, sauna pants and stuff like that. All these other gimmicks. But he was kind of ahead of his time. Unfortunately, he was murdered. All right, going on to question 9. Dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die. So the question must be asked, what's the most common way to be murdered in London and Wales? Going across the pond, if you will. What is the most common way to die in London and Wales? Is it A, bombing, B, poisoned, C, gunshot, or D, stabbed? What is the most common way to die? Exercise to Jack LaLanne. I love Jack LaLanne. I still have my juicer. Will, do your sweet little boy have a good Halloween being a cat boy? he has a really low tolerance for things that are sensory overload. He gets sensory overload. Flashing lights, flashlights, changing colors, and a lot of sounds give him a sensory overload. So he'll just quit everything at that point. So he started off, good, and then it was just like, no, and he just quit. But I mean, we did the best we could. You do too, Will? Yeah. I like Richard Simmons. Richard sweating to the oldies. But I was here in my studio. We watched Last Man on Earth, and then after Last Man on Earth, I had phone calls and other things I needed to do, so I didn't get to hang out with them too much. CVUN. Ooh. Inner Peas, yeah, it was Last Man on Earth, 1964, Vincent Price original. If you go to my YouTube channel, it's still on my YouTube channel. You can watch it unedited. See, today is the 4th for another 5 days. You can watch it unedited for the next 5 days. Anybody can see it. What about Tony Guy with the ponytail? The Tony Guy. Ooh. See gunshots. Hey. Dumb way. If you guys have never heard that or seen that video, Dumb Ways to Die, it was actually made. It's a video that was made in for London, and for the rail system. And the guy just absolutely knocked it out of the park. It was it went viral. Dumb Ways to Die, but it's the comic series and everything else took off after that. But it was meant for rail safety, and it showed you all the different dumb ways to die. But it was getting around to the point of, please don't stand on the train tracks. It's a dumb way to die. But that's where the dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die comes from. All right. The most common way to die in London and Wales is D as in dog. To be stabbed to death is the most common way to be murdered in London and Wales. D. Question 10. You never know the true history of a man unless you first look at where he came from and how he got to where he is today. Which one of these men spent time in prison? Was it A, Nick Frost, B, James Moot, C, Stephen Fry, or D, Bentley Little? Matt Foley. Matt Foley. Drawing a blank on that. Smith Shoes. Who is Matt Foley? Etta Green, richest woman in the world at the time, died yelling at a maid about skim milk and gave herself a stroke. Wow. You never know the true history of a man unless you first look at where they came from and how they got to where they are today. Which one of these men spent time in prison? Lawrence Welk. Tiny bubbles. And a one and a two. I used to watch the Lawrence Welk show with my dad. He used to love watching Laugh-In and Lawrence Welk. It's about the only television I ever remember him watching. Matt Foley, Chris Farley, motivational speaker. Oh, that Matt Foley, that's the one where it was living in a van down by the river. Who was it? It was yelling at a very young David Spade in that SNL. Tiny Bubbles, van down by the river guy. Yep. You don't recognize these names? Janice Canfield? Let's see. All right, Nick Frost was in Shaun of the Dead movie. He was also in Ed. He was in Hot Fuzz. James Moot is a musical director, actor. Stephen Fry, the picture that is shown here is Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie. Hugh Laurie, you might know as House from the television show, but these two have been in so many different television series, everything from Black Adder to, God, I mean, to try to list it all. They've both done guest appearances on Black's books. English actors, yes, Truffles, definitely. They're and good evening, Truffles. But which one of these individuals spent time in prison? The correct answer is correct. Starfire is C, as in cat. Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry spent 3 months in Puckle Church Prison. I swear to God, that's the name of the place. Puckle Church Prison. And it was for fraud. 3 months. E. Pablo Escobar. And Bentley Little is an author. Here's one of my favorite Bentley Little books. Bentley Little, The Summoning. Keep that right here next to what? Another F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Great Gatsby. All right, back to the trivia. I'll put myself back in my little box. Will in a little box. Hello. What's that summoning book about? We'll get into it in a little bit here. All right, question 11. Heading over the pond, as they say, for this question. What percentage of all crimes in the UK are committed by men of all ages? Is it A, 99%, B, 80%, C, 97%, or D, 62%? The Summoning by Bentley Little. Darkness is descending on a small town of Rio Verde, Arizona. An evil older than time is rising from the desert, waiting for the nightfall to reign the terror to begin. Brad Woods has performed a lot of autopsies, but never one like this. The body was purged of all its blood, and something odd. Brad, and this is only beginning of the nightmare. Fear made Sue Wing run from the darkened school at night. She feared could only come as a comatose of her grandmother. Vampires, devils, incarnations stalked the streets of Rio Verde. Small town reporter like Rich Carter didn't believe in such things. That's just the inside of the jacket, but that kind of gives an idea of what the Summoning is about. What percentage of all crimes in the UK are committed by men of all ages? Question number 11. Great. B, D. Great. A cow, great. Rachel going with C. Janice, B. Want to meet for coffee someday? LOL. D says Shelly J. D. C. Sasha says C. Headed over the pond, as they say for this question, what percentage of all crimes in the UK are committed by men? The correct answer for question 11, ladies and gentlemen, is B as in boy. 80% of all crimes in the UK are committed by men of all ages. 80% of the crimes. Either way, it's going to be a high percentage unless you went with D. Lucky letter C. All right. Question 12. In 2011, 11 members of the Gooch Gang were arrested and convicted. Where did they call home, and what happened to the rest of the gang? Was it A, they were headquartered in Manchester, and they were, the crime was murder? Was it B, Belfast? The rest of the members are still missing. C, Belfast, the rest of the members were not charged. Or Manchester, and the rest of the members weren't charged. I was too optimistic. In 2011, 11 members of the Gooch Gang. What a nice name for a gang, huh? Hey, you're in a gang? Yeah. Oh, is it like the Crips or the Bloods or the MS-13s? No, I'm in the Gooch Gang. Say what? Yeah, I'm in the Gooch Gang. You couldn't come up with a better name than the Gooch Gang? Your wife will kill you? Never heard of this case? Oh, Switches, it made international news. The whole gang did, and their crimes. I mean, their crimes were for a litany of different things. Sounds like a little kids club group. But the photo you see here are of the members of the Gooch Gang. Some of them, obviously. 11 members of the Gooch Gang were arrested and convicted, but this is obviously not 11. It's only 8. I couldn't fit the photo on there and still have me in my little window. The Gooch Gang. Sound like a bunch of hardened criminals to me. Eh? What did they do? Where were they from? Question number 12. B. Starfire is going with D. C. I have no idea. Lucky letter C. LOL. I see 10 Gucci's. Oh, 10 out of 11 or 8 out of 11. Sorry if I said 8. But obviously, there's more. I don't have. Do I have those notes here? Hold on. Let's see if I have those. That's Josh Duggar stuff. Delphi, Leilani. No, I don't have those notes here. Manchester for sure, but not sure of second part. Sorry, Ricker, I can't remember. You're a guy. Sorry. So I'll go with D, says Janice. Go with D. 2011, 11 members of the Gooch Gang were arrested and convicted. Where did they go home? And what happened to the rest of the group? For question 12, the correct answer is D as in dogs. Truffles got in just in time with the correct answer. D as in dog, Manchester. The rest of the members, I I'm probably wrong about this because I do not have my notes in front of me. I think there were 15 members total of the gang, but the rest of them were not charged because they turned evidence against the rest of them. So as part of like a plea, they didn't charge them with crime. But D is in dog. They're from Manchester, but they weren't charged because they basically helped convict the rest of them. All right. Question number 13. Gooch lives at Gooch Cabin, going with guess A. All right. The police broke into my locked apartment in New York City while I was asleep. They said they found drugs on my apartment on a table in plain sight. I was given a sentence of 10 months, sentenced to hard labor. Who am I? Is it A, Billie Holiday, B, Francie Meeks, C, Nina Simone, or D, Faust? Who was given a 10-month sentence for supposed drugs that were found in their New York apartment? The Gooches do cement shoes. Everything from murder to robbery, embezzlement, racketeering, you name it. They got their hands in everything. There wasn't a lot of theft. What are you guys talking about? Well, I'd have to scroll up to probably find out. E, Billie Jean King, the tennis star, Hall of Fame tennis star Billie Jean King, I might add. B, A. What is considered hard labor? I don't know. Digging ditches, I guess. That'd be hard labor. Working in a rock quarry, splitting rocks. Yeah, I don't know. With a pick. I don't know. F Paris Hilton. B. I don't know. But yeah, I guess hard labor. I guess it depends. It could be a litany of different things. It could be everything from digging ditches on a chain gang alongside the highway to I don't know, foresting for them. I don't know. They have inmates do all kinds of things. I know where I live. During the summertime, they actually make the inmates go down and they tie ropes around their waist, and then they make them wade out into the river along this one part of the shoreline where they have the hydroplane races, and they make them pick up the rocks and other debris that may have washed the shore. And this is just before the hydroplane races. But the rope is so in case they fall, they won't get washed down shore, downstream, and drown. I think literally they tie a rope around their waist, make them wade out in the water to pick up rocks and all kinds of stuff. Make license plates. Who is the eldest in this list? That's a good question. Well, I don't even know if all of them are alive. Love the Sun. Pretty sure A is dead. Francie Meeks, I don't know about. Nina Simone, I think she's alive. Faust, I don't know. I think Nina Simone's alive, though. I mean, if I had to guess out of the four, I think Nina is alive. Let's Google it and find out. See if Nina Simone is alive. Is Nina Simone alive? No. She is buried at Carrie Lorette France. She is buried in France. She is deceased. I thought Nina was still alive. All right. Well, she's gone. Oh, when was she born? Um, she was a blues, R&B, gospel singer, songwriter. She died at the age of 70. Wow. Are you still over the road truck driver? Love those big rigs. All right, question 13. The correct answer is A as in apple, Billie Holiday. By all accounts, if you look at the actual arrest records and everything else, she was most likely framed because she was African American and she was living in an upper area of New York that they didn't like African Americans living in. But she was most likely framed for it. But then again, Billie Holiday was a drug user, so there could have been drugs on a coffee table or something. Soft crime inmates are driven around on highways and they pick up trash, etc. Then they get back in the truck and they move on. Soft crime inmates here now, they are given it one chance. Didn't know that. And I've seen them on my highway picking up trash, litter. Okay, question 14. What infamous crime did both of these men take part in? Bernard Baker and Frank Sturgis. What infamous crime did these two men take part in? Was it A, art theft, B, Watergate break-in, C, Olympic hostage taking, or D, stock fraud? 10-4, OTR forever. I picked her because I think she was a drug addict. Well, I think she did heroin for a lot of years. Billie Holiday did, but who knows? But the whole thing just screams of it was racial because obviously she couldn't keep her place after they busted her and sentenced her. They pretty much speedy trial right through. All right, go away to prison. Looks like George Costanza. It kind of does. I didn't even think about that. Loitering. What infamous crime did both of these men take part in? Bernard Baker and Frank Sturgis. We have A's, we've got some B's, we have E. A, some a lot of smiley faces and laughing faces. What infamous crime? I mean, those sound like hardened criminal names, don't they? Bernard and Frank. I'm standing strong with inner peace. Sort of cheated for me as I had this question came up in college. Oh. We all should be copying off of Janice. She had this question come up in college. Bernard Baker and Frank Sturgis. I didn't even see what she answered. Don't know. Lucky C says Jean. Saint Bernard. Saint Bernard the doggy. My sister had a Saint Bernard at one time. She's got two massive dogs that are bigger than Saint Bernards now, but I have no idea what kind they are. They're huge dogs, though. I mean, they're about to, I wouldn't say they're the size of like a miniature pony, but they're damn big. Okay. Question 14. What infamous crime did both of these men take part in? The correct answer is B as in boy. Watergate break-in. Watergate. Changing to beep, 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 says Purple. And Love the Sun will be right back. D, zero clue. Truffles going with A. Oh, the correct answer is B as in boy. Watergate break-in. They were both part of the Watergate break-in. Question 15. Who was convicted of conspiracy and perjury after a shootout with a group of people? Was it A, Biggie Small, B, Tupac, C, Little Kim, or D, Snow? And for all you from Canada, you all know that Snow's straight from the streets, man. He's got street cred. Cool Joe, the movie about that killer Saint Bernard. Cujo about Saint Bernard, or was no? I can't remember. Is it a Saint Bernard or German Shepherd? I can't remember. It's always a dog that I never think of as being violent. I said A because of the drawing. Cujo. I don't have a copy of Cujo out here. I know I do in the house. I definitely do. E, MC Hammer. I think it's really C this time. The dog was rabid. Cujo was a Saint Bernard. My sister had a Saint Bernard, and all that damn thing did was sleep and drool. That's all I ever saw that dog do. She had that Saint Bernard for 10 years. I can't remember what it got some kind of disease. She finally had to put it down. It was uncurable, and the dog was going to suffer. But now she's got these two massive all white dogs. I mean, they're huge. Who was convicted of conspiracy and perjury after a shootout with a group of people? Rabies. Certainly don't want rabies. And you certainly don't ever want to have to get a rabies shot. You know, the series of shots for rabies. Well, I don't know if it's a series anymore. But I watched my friends suffer through that when we were teenagers. We were out skateboarding one day, and some dog that we don't even know, whose dog it was, just ran up and bit him right on the calf. He had to get the rabies shots, and those were just horrific watching him suffer through. Maybe the big white dogs are Pyrenees. That's what they are. Purple, you nailed it. I knew it. I knew somebody would probably know what they are, but they're huge dogs. Jesus, they're big. They're Great Pyrenees. Is B supposed to be Tupac? Yeah, Tupac Shakur. Tupac. I just typed them out this way. That's why they were on the trivia. But Tupac Shakur. Suge Knight buddies were both murdered in Las Vegas. They were with Death Row Records. Yes. They think they are lap dogs. She takes them everywhere. When she's out riding her horses, they'll just run right alongside, and the horse doesn't care about the dogs. They go everywhere with her, and I mean everywhere. She'll probably bring them over here for Thanksgiving, and they'll just sit in the backyard, underneath the shady tree, or do nothing, or sit by the back door. It's where they always are. They sleep a lot. When they are active, they're very defensive, like protective of her. No, but if you mess with their owner, the dog will turn into Cujo. Yeah, that's true. like I was saying, they're very protective of her. Very protective. All right. 15. The correct answer is C as in cat, Little Kim. She lied in open court about it. And it was all caught on video, the entire gun battle in the parking lot. It was after she got done with doing like a spot on a radio, show, and then they had the shootout in the parking lot, and it was all caught on video. And yet she still went to court and committed perjury to the entire thing. Question 16. Who is the only U.S. vice president forced to resign as part of an agreement they wouldn't seek all criminal charges against him? Was it A, Dan Quayle, B, Gerald Ford, B, Spiro Agnew, or D, Mike Pence? Who is the only vice president forced to resign as part of an agreement they wouldn't seek all criminal charges against him? E, Nixon. Nixon was president. B says cement shoes. C's E, Nixon. B, C. Hi, Rykart. What flavor do you toke? C. Purple's going with C, C, C. Life on the River is going with C as well. Spiro Agnew. Well, we know Dan Quayle can't spell potato or tomato. Gerald Ford can't walk downstairs. Mike Pence, was he ever asked to resign? Or did somebody try to just get him hanged? Lucky C for real this time, Will. Gene's going with Spiro Agnew. What do we know about Spiro Agnew? Question number 16. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the answer for question 16 is C as in cat, Spiro Agnew. He was asked to resign, and as part of the agreement, they would not seek all the criminal charges against him. Biden would have been fall too. Look how he did with a bike that wasn't moving. That's true. I mean, we've had a lot of clumsy presidents over the years, if you think about it. A lot. I think, beside the point what I think. What did Dan do in the pic? This is a picture of Spiro Agnew, Gene, and he was with the Watergate. 17. Where was Martin Luther King's assassin finally caught 2 months after killing King? Was it A, Washington, D.C., B, London, England, C, Mexico, or D, Canada? Internet keeps connecting, but fun. Thanks, Will. Have a nice weekend. You too, Shelly J. Thank you for being here with us. Stay safe out there. Where was Martin Luther King's assassin finally caught? Walmart. dressed as Darth Vader. I'm not kidding. I was at Walmart today, and I actually was picking up um, cans of condensed milk. Because just about everywhere I went, nobody had any, and that was my. Walmart is so far away from me, but it's probably 9 miles to Walmart one way, and I had to fight traffic the whole way there. But so I get to Walmart and I'm buying condensed milk, and I saw a man dressed as Darth Vader walk in right behind me. I was like, Halloween was like last week, this past Monday. At the time, it would have been Walmart if would have been Kmart or Wigwam. Cigarettes and coffee, Reichart C. What? Who would have? Who would have thought? Yeah, Walmart. The closest Walmart to me is almost a town away. It's 15 miles to the next town, and 9 miles one way to Walmart. 6 miles to the next freeway, and then 3 miles up that to Walmart. C sounds about right. Sounds right. C A. Where was Martin Luther King's assassin finally caught 2 months after killing King? Where was he caught? Question number 17. We got cement shoes going with C. We have C, C, A, C, C. Any other guesses? Anybody? C. Life on the River is going with C. I just subscribed 2 days ago or so. I was wondering what is going on. Carrie, good evening, Carrie, and welcome. Well, tonight we are playing crime trivia. It's just a fun, relaxing way to end our week. Sit back, talk, and play a little trivia. Never know what you're going to learn. MLK Boulevard. I know there's an MLK Boulevard in Portland. There's probably more around the United States. Love my coffee. But welcome, Carrie. I hope you had a wonderful week. And thank you for subscribing. And everybody else, including you, Carrie, if you enjoy this, please give this stream a thumbs up. I appreciate it. All right, where was Martin Luther King's assassin finally caught 2 months after killing him? Question number 17. The correct answer is B as in boy, London, England. Yes, he was caught in London, England. All right, question 18. Planning is hugely important when trying to pull off a crime, and it's essential to success of the act that every detail be well thought through in advance. But Derek Mosley didn't place very high importance on these things before he decided to rob a gun store. What was his first mistake? A, he got drunk first. B, he used a bat to rob a gun store. C, locked his keys in his car. Or D, forgot to cover up his face. And the reason why we see a copy of Shaft, the comic book, there is because a very similar occurrence happened in a 79 episode of it. Excuse me. How nice to be welcomed. Well, Carrie, we're just a bunch of nice people here who like to enjoy and have a fun time. You'll find that mostly amongst everybody on my channel. We're not into the drama. We're into following, the true crime and what really happened, what can be documented. But what did Derek Mosley do? That was his first mistake. A, B, blue, purple is going with B, 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 B. B is her answer. Left on the river is going with A. Ooh. I think Carrie's on a really old, one of the far back questions. That's about when the jury system was formed. Be sure to hit the like button, everybody. Facts, Will. Just the facts. Yes. Question 18. We are on question 18. What did Derek Mosley do? It was his first mistake. Reichart is going with B. Give a thumbs up before I tune in. Will is great. Well, thank you, Janice. I appreciate it. All right, question 18. The correct answer is B as in boy. He robbed a gun store, or tried to, let's say, rob a gun store with a bat. Now, in the comic of Shaft, the assailant walked into a gun store and tried to rob the actual people. He didn't try to steal guns. He tried to rob them of the cash in the cash register with a bat. And Shaft wasn't having none of that. All right, question 19. James Blankenship isn't what you call a master criminal. Needing quick cash for drugs, James decided to do a couple of daytime burglaries, starting with his it's supposed to be mother's home at not his Moss, mother's home, not Moss, home. When apprehended by police, what did James say was the reason he couldn't be arrested? What? Yeah. A, his mother said it was okay. B, I'm only stealing from family. C, he was on a mission from God. Or D, it's not a crime if it happens during the day. B, yeah. Louise, good evening and welcome. I hope you had a terrific week, Louise. Purple that dog, what a troublemaker. Sort of remembering A. Starfire B. Meep meep. Good evening, meep meep. Welcome. How are you doing? I hope you had a wonderful week. Left on the river is going with B. Love the Sun 100 is going with D. Well, thank you, Louise, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend as well. Loving the warmer weather. Didn't get very warm where I am today. I think we only got up to like 40, maybe 45 right in there. But it's been windy and rainy off and on most of the day. It doesn't bother me. I've been inside all day except for when I had to go shopping. All right. Question number 19. James Blankenship. What did this idiot say to the police was the reason why he couldn't be arrested? It's been warm here in Michigan. It was about 70 today. Well, that is definitely warmer. It is definitely warmer. 70 would be nice. We don't have many days where it's like a mild 70. It's either hot as hell here or it's cold. Sometimes we get maybe, yeah, March to May is our mild, weather. Um, come June and July and August, it's just roasting here. Feels like the sun is, just above you. Like literally, you're on fire. You can't get cool if you go outside during the daytime. It's not uncommon for it to be 110, 115. He took the money for his mother's funeral. That would be bad. Tornadoes in Oklahoma and Texas. Yeah, you all stay safe out there. If you're anywhere near that, me, you stay safe. I hope everyone is able to stay safe from it. Cement Shoes is changing his answer to C. He was on a mission from God, just like the Blues Brothers. All right, question 19. What was the reason James Blankenship told the police he could not be arrested? Janice Canfield is going with D, and that is the correct answer. D as in dog is the correct answer. It's not a crime if it happened during the day. He truly believed if he was committing burglary, especially of a family member's home, he could not be arrested or charged for burglary because he was stealing from his mother, of all people. What kind of person does that? But he didn't believe he could be arrested for it because it was during the daytime and it wasn't at night. All right, moving on. Question 20. I have no time to waste. Albert Bailey and his friend planned a perfect robbery. In order to make it run super smooth, what did Mr. Bailey do beforehand to make sure no time would be wasted? Was it A, called the bank ahead of time so they would be ready to be robbed? B, reduced all items down to just the basics? C, move my stupid cursor so we can see D. C, decided to sleep in the parking lot overnight so they wouldn't have to go far. Or D, he purchased 4 different alarm clocks. Yeah, you have to wonder about some of these people. Me, how did they make it this far in life? How do they remember to even breathe? I have no time to waste. Albert Bailey and his friend planned the perfect bank robbery. In order to make it run super smooth, what did Mr. Bailey do beforehand to make sure no time would be wasted? 39 degrees in Colorado. Burr. I called my sister the other day and she didn't answer. Got a hold of her daughter. Her daughter told me she wasn't home, that her and her husband went out to a movie. E. He wore his pajamas to the scene of the crime and claimed he was sleepwalking. Now, I've seen people actually get, where something like that happened to them. That's funny, but kind of tragic at the same time. I saw a video of a guy standing in line wearing a ski mask. What, at the bank? That's Now there was a guy that robbed a Starbucks. I think it was, I want to say it was someplace, woke, like Portland. He robbed a Starbucks at gunpoint, and the 2 people in line behind him were like police officers in uniform. It was one of the dumbest things. There's an actual video of it on YouTube from the surveillance perspective, from up in the corner, looking down at the actual counter. And the guy walks up like he's going to order coffee, looking at the board. And then the guy comes over and addresses him, and he pulls out a gun and robs, tries to rob him. And there are two police officers standing right in line behind him. I'm pretty sure you can find it on YouTube. I saw it on it was on Facebook, but it's, what they call it, Reels. But it was like this. I think the guy's like an Instagram or TikTok talker who posts like these dumb videos of people. Blues Brothers are great. I'll watch it every time on the Blues Brothers. I've seen the Blues Brothers movie quite a few times. I think it was like the third or fourth time it finally dawned on me that Cab Calloway is in the Blues Brothers. I didn't even, I don't know, I was a dumb kid, but it finally dawned on me one day. I was like, I heard that music before. He's the one in the movie that does Minnie the Moocher. He sounds stupid enough to be true, says Janice. All right, question 20. Have no time to waste. Albert Bailey and his friend planned the perfect bank robbery. In order to make it run super smooth, what did Mr. Bailey do beforehand to make sure no time would be wasted? Ladies and gentlemen, this idiot did A. He called the bank and told them that him and his friend were on their way to rob the bank and to please make sure that there was no one, loitering in the lobby, and that they had a teller window open for them to rob the bank. He called the bank ahead of time. Yeah. That's brilliant. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, we'll just happen to call the police. Will, Colorado, a.k.a. Colorado. Oh, I got it, Gene. Yeah, I got that. Colorado. All right, bonus question. What U.S. city from this list actually has a law on the books that says you must call the police before you enter the city to warn them if you're entering the city to commit any crimes? This is an actual real law, ladies and gentlemen, and it's on the books. What city is it? Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. California. California. What U.S. city makes people call the police if you're going to enter the city to actually commit a crime? Is it A, Seattle, Washington, B, Portland, Oregon, C, Dallas, Texas, or D, New York City, New York? E, California. B, what dummies. Yeah, right? This is considered what an old blue law. An old blue law. But it's still on the books. And the reason, and a lot of people ask me, in the past, why are old blue laws still on the books? Why haven't they just repealed them, gotten rid of them? Because it costs more money and more time and effort to remove a law than it is to just pass another law, making the other one not effective or not enforceable. There are cities and states across the United States that outlaw and have laws on the books that make homosexuality an actual crime. There are cities and states in certain states that forbid dancing with a cowboy hat on. You are not allowed to. These are just stupid laws that have been on the books forever. And it's a lot easier just to pass another law saying, well, this one can't be enforced anymore, than it is to actually go in and remove that law from the books. So I know it's Dallas, says Meep. I have no idea. You're going to guess A, London? I think Carrie's still on the wrong question. This is bonus. So technically, question number 21. What U.S. city from this list actually has a law in the books that says you must call the police before you enter the city to warn them you are entering the city to commit any crimes? Gene, D, New York, New York. Can you imagine if somebody actually did that, though? Phoned up the police department. Hi, Mr. Police Officer. I'm coming to your city to commit burglary. What are the police going to say? Oh, okay. Which place are you going to burglarize? What year? I don't know what year this law was actually made. Meet me, but old blue laws are generally anywhere from 1860s to maybe the early 1900s. Maybe up into the 30s. It's just their old blue laws. That's what they call them. They're not technically called blue laws. That's just the term that is used to identify, like this is a law that's not enforceable anymore. But the correct answer for the bonus question is C as in cat, Dallas, Texas. Dallas, Texas has on the books a law that says that if you are a criminal, it is against the law if you enter into the city of Dallas, Texas to commit a crime and you don't call the police beforehand to inform them that you are coming to Dallas, Texas to commit a crime. Yes, you heard that right correctly, ladies and gentlemen. It is against the law to not call the police, and it is a crime, a punishable crime, an arrestable offense if you don't call the police to tell them that you're coming to their city to commit a crime. So you commit a crime. If you're out from outside the city and you came there to commit that crime, they could charge you with 2 crimes. That's all the questions. 1 second while I get rid of this stupid screen so it's not staring at me. Well, I hope everybody had fun playing the trivia tonight. Me, I'm playing. Reichardt for the trophy. Give Reichardt the trophy tonight. I got a lot of these questions though. These are ones that obviously you might have caught some kind of a little bit of a trend there throughout these 20 questions. There were a lot of them that had to deal with London or overseas questions. There were quite a few of them in there, but I had to use them up. I have like 4 different folders saved on Google in the cloud where they're just trivia questions. Music, trivia, regular dumb criminal trivia, and then regular 2 of the different crime trivia. I have to get rid of them somehow. Well, if you don't call the police to let them know you're going to commit a crime, do you get extra prison? Yes, Gene. The law, the way it was actually written out, it was an illegal and an arrestable offense if you didn't call them. So you could be charged with a crime for not calling them to tell them that you were, coming to their city to commit a crime, and then the second for the actual crime you committed. I guess got it right. How did they get messages to ahead of time? How did they get messages ahead of time? Well, always enjoyable time with these. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the trivia tonight, ladies and gentlemen. 1889. Might be. I mean, some of these, I know they're, here where I live in Washington State, we have laws on the books that are still there that they've never bothered to repeal. They've never set another law in motion to actually get rid of them. And these laws actually started when it was the Washington territories. Oregon wasn't there, and neither was Washington State. It was the Washington territory. And some of these laws have been on the books for, as going back that far. Justice for Libby and Abby. Yes, definitely. There's some things that are about that case when it comes to Richard Matthew Allen, and I just, how do I say this? There are things in the case that don't make sense to me. And I guess a lot of that, those answers I may actually get those answers once they unseal the affidavit for the warrant and for the probable cause. Hopefully that's in there. We don't know if that was it January 13th? One second. Delphi. When's his next court? I have it written down here. Yeah. November 22nd. So on November 22nd, he has a probable cause hearing. Richard Matthew Allen, to see if there is and that's where the state has to say, they have to lay it out. Look, this is the evidence we have, and then the judge will rule, yes, there's enough evidence here to support the two charges that you have right now of murder and murder, the two murder charges. And then his next pretrial date is a conference. Pretrial conference is set for January 13th. Now, all that could change date wise. It could be earlier, it could be later, because the judge in the case recused himself today. And in case you're not familiar with what recused means, in a nutshell, he removed himself from the case in going forward. Now, the likelihood was that he wasn't going to have to sit on this case all the way through, because he already has two cases that are set for one for December and one for January. So he wouldn't have been able to sit on this case because he has other trials that are already on his calendar. So him recusing himself isn't much of a deal. But I do believe I read something earlier, but I haven't looked into it much about they're going to appoint a special judge in this case. So, are you thinking that they could have the wrong guy? No, me. I'm trying to, in my mind, and I'll kind of let you in on what's going on in here. All right. When you look at somebody who commits crimes or has a criminal history, they never start off doing, like, oh, I'm just going to go rob the gas station down on the corner. There's always something that happens before they actually commit that actual first offense. Maybe they stole the milk money at school and they got expelled from school for it. Maybe and they didn't get caught, or maybe they did get caught, but they just got a slap on the wrist for it. This man has nothing in his past except for a couple of instances of being a drunken asshole to his wife and friends and family. There's nothing in his past at all. How do you go from nothing at all to murdering two girls that you don't know? Or does he know? Because, and this is where what I'm still working on and I'm researching out is there a connection between Richard Matthew Allen, the man who is currently in jail, and I think either they already did or they're moving him to the Indiana State Penitentiary for protection, so they can protect him because, well, in that area everybody wants to kill him. But is there a connection between Richard Matthew Allen and Keegan Kline? Now, in case you don't remember who Keegan Kline is, he is the one who had the catfishing accounts, and he had been talking with Abby, or yeah, it was Abby, I think it was. I could be wrong. It could have been Libby. That he was talking. He was talking to one of the two girls, and they thought that he was a model who was successful, who took pictures and chatted with them off and on for about 2 week period. And he was his account was one of the last people who talked with them before they were murdered. And he says in his, while police were talking with him, he says, well, I stopped talking to her because she was annoying. And he says but they have the transcript of all the communication from that account to her cell phone. And the day they were murdered, there was messages back and forth. Now, hear me out here for a second. This is where my mind is at. The day that they made the arrest of Richard Matthew Allen, over here, so you have this guy here and you have this guy here. You have two different individuals. The day they made the arrest, they dropped 5 charges against Keegan Kline. Is it a coincidence? That they dropped charges against this guy, 5 of the felonies that he is charged with, and then over here they make the arrest. Are these two men somehow connected? And that's what I'm working on. Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like I'm going into trying to uncover a conspiracy. But is there any connection? Because Keegan Kline was grooming both of the girls to send them photos, nude photos. That's what he did. That's what his kick was he used these catfishing accounts to get thousands of young girls from all over the United States to send, nude photos or nude videos of themselves to what they thought was a young male supermodel. And as dumb as you think that might be, these scams happen all the time. And if he wasn't using the account that day, was Richard Matthew Allen using that account? Did he give him the passwords and the access to the account? Did Keegan Kline really stop communicating with them, like he said, because he found them annoying, and he gave them the access, which then brings open a bigger. See the can of worms. The can of worms is overflowing right now, right? Richard Matthew Allen has a daughter, and the day they served the search warrant on the home, his wife and daughter, poof, gone. They haven't shown up at the jail. They haven't called about him. Nothing. They just totally ghosted daddy. Did he do something to the daughter, who was about the same age? That's what I'm working on. Isn't that fun? This gives you a little bit of insight into what I do all day long. Is I hear and communicating with other people, trying to figure out, is there a connection between these things? Is there anything that we can document or prove outside? Because I mean that one part of it is sealed. We may get the answer on the 22nd. We may not. They may keep the record sealed. And that's where a lot of people are like, why were you looking into his DMV records? And trying to find out if he had any moving violations, because it puts him in the area. Maybe he got it, maybe, that day, or maybe on another time he got a parking ticket, something that would put him in that area, because it's quite a ways to where they were murdered at from his home. And it's not something he would drive past on the way to work or to get anywhere. We got the tea. Yes, there is a connection. Libby talked to Snapchat killer Richard Allen at 8 a.m. the morning of the murders, not Keegan Klein. I don't see, Gene, that is something that I'm trying to document. I can't prove any of that. And unless I can document it, I won't talk about it. If somebody has firsthand knowledge about it, I have to talk to that person, and then I have to check their sources, how they know, if that person actually did it. I spend an awful lot of time and work, to make the content that I do. I'm not just throwing things at the wind, or reading off what somebody said on in another video, or on a newscast. Do they have actual proof that he spoke to them and it was them? And if so, how did they know that it's factual? Do they have evidence of it? But I do think there's definitely something there, with Richard and Matthew Allen. You don't go from being just a boring individual living in, Delphi, Indiana, to murdering two girls the next day. How do you get from there to there? There's got to be something in there. Was he abusive, controlling? Not according to his family, not according to his neighbors. The police don't have anything on him. Thinking Keegan Klein was waiting at the abandoned CPS store building and joined in on the killing with Richard Allen. I have epilepsy, and fluorescent lights and flashing lights make me have seizures. I am really sorry about that, Carrie. I don't know if you can actually hear us, or if you're following along with where we are today and right now in this timeline. But I'm really sorry about that. 28 and married. I didn't mean like that his daughter is the same age as Libby and Abby. I mean, when did he do something to the daughter? Did he, beat her, molest her, something when she was the age of Abby and Libby? Is what I meant. Not that she is the same age as they would be today. Sorry if I wasn't clear about that. Yeah, I don't know, Gene. It's one of those things that I'm going to go down this rabbit hole, and I've put the communications out there to everybody, but I'm hearing back. Quite a few people were talking, a chat group, but right now it's slow going. It's amazing just how normal and mundane this man is in his life. I mean, when we're talking about going all the way back to his junior high school years, he's there, but nobody notices him at all. Maybe that's why. Maybe he snapped. Maybe he's got some kind of mental health issue where he just snapped. That could be. We don't know. Well, they are saying Richard Allen left cat hair evidence at the crime scene. Somebody saying that? Don't know. May have been. We'll see. There's a lot. I mean, it's really early in the investigation, at least from the outside, and when we're actually being able to look at different parties and see what happened. But we'll find out. I just hope that we get to a point where we do get justice for both Abby and Libby. And I hope that that I want to turn my computer on tomorrow. I want to walk in here and I want to find that we have a suspect. We have somebody in the disappearance of Summer Wells. That's a case I haven't given up on. Summer Wells. It's just it's been beat. The story's been beat to like a dead horse. And there's very little information out there that is actually factual. I have no idea who the people are in number 10. Okay. Will the Mormon High School bridge was 1.7 miles from Richard Allen's house. Did you measure that, Gene? Because I didn't. I triangulated on the map the bar he went to, his work, where he grocery shopped, where his friend's house is, and the home. And he stayed in a geographic location of his home, so his home's in the middle, going outward in a circle, just like when they're looking for a serial killer. A serial killer hunts within a certain geographic location, and that trail and that bridge is so far outside of his circle of where he traveled and where he went to hang out and drink, where he went to the store, where he got gas, where he went grocery shopping. Everything is in that circle, around his home. His home's in the middle. And that's what I did. That's why I always start. It's at the actual home, work outwardly. And then that bridge is so far away. Aunt B, somebody said he used an alias. Yes, Aunt B, I have seen a lot of people talk about quite a few different aliases. There are 3 that you can see on his actual booking information on when he. Right. So when he was booked into the Carroll County Jail, there's almost nothing on his booking information sheet that was online. The information didn't really get put on his booking information until he ended up at the White County Jail, where they transferred him to. And I'm hoping when they move him to protective custody at the state prison that they do an update on that. But right now, there are a couple aliases listed. They're basically last names, but in a couple of different first names, but nothing out of the ordinary. Ricky thought that he was a badass till he got caught. Yeah, but he's gonna, if he's really involved in this. I mean, there's a lot of people out there looking and digging into his past, but then again, there are a lot of people out there right now that are making up anything and everything they can for the views. Get those clicks, get those bucks. You don't make the bucks unless you get the clicks. And people believe the first thing they hear. If somebody tells you that he used this alias, and no law enforcement, no court, no one says he's ever used that, but you hear it from this person. How much work would it take for everybody else to do to convince you that this isn't real? And that's the way these things work. Trying to find a reliable source, you can believe in, and trust, around a case. I mean, if you want to believe, I'm not gonna say it, but people do. But you have to remember, though, Gene, Scott doesn't research all of his, the stories that he covers. He has a very good staff, so he is the person, the voice of his channel of Crime Talk. He is the person in front. I'm not doubting him for a second. I've subscribed to him, and I have been a subscriber of Scott's for an awful long time. I wouldn't say that he's not trustworthy. I would say that he has made mistakes. He is human. I am human as well. We're not robots, and we are, flawed. But Washington State, you're in Seattle. I'm on the other side of the Cascades from you, Carrie. The other side of the Cascade. I believe people are saying things so that the police will get back up and tell them, no, this is what happened. I don't see that happening, though. There's very little information out there. Think of it this way, Purple. When it comes to Richard Matthew Allen and his background, it's very dry. It's uneventful. He's not an extraordinary man with extraordinary skills. He got away with it, for whatever his involvement is. If he actually did it, or if he was part of something else, that where it have how they were murdered. It's very, it's not exciting. It doesn't make for good television. It doesn't make for good YouTube, videos. So people are making things up and throwing it at the wall, and and blowing things up out of proportion, dragging this in and this in, and none of it's true. But they have to just sell you something. They have to put that out there so you'll click and watch. So you'll super chat them, or you know join their subscriber or buy their T-shirts or hats. That's the game. I mean, as much as I hate it, I mean that's the only way I survive too. But I want to be able to sleep at night knowing that I did my due diligence. I don't know about the others. I don't know how some of them can get away with what they say. But to each their own, I guess. But I think Abby and Libby could have gotten away from him. I think it could have been a authority figure for them to listen to him. That's one of those things, meet me, that I've always wondered. How did this man subdue two young girls? If one watches the one being murdered, you think the other one would just take off and run. Unless, again, there was a partner. But I'm only speculating there. I don't know that. Nobody knows that. Nobody can prove that. Not right now. Not unless Keegan Klein wants to call in right now and tell me, that he was involved or he wasn't involved, or that Richard Matthew Allen wants to call up right now and tell me exactly how he did it, or that he didn't do it. Everything else is just speculation. And we don't know what his involvement is or if he was directly involved, but it's out there. Will, the news reporter who said he lived 1.7 miles, they showed a aerial view. I was just curious, who measured it, Gene. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just wondering who measured it. I mean, it might be 1.7 miles as a crow flies. Law enforcement wouldn't just arrest anyone without proof. You're funny, Reichart. You're funny. That's a good one. But no, I mean, he is presumed innocent of the charges until proven guilty by a court of law. That is the standard that we must live by. But seriously though, we all make mistakes, Gene. There have been more than a couple of occasions where I have done videos, and I relied upon one or two sources within the actual story itself, and those individuals lied. They lied to me. I spoke to them on the phone. I got their information. They emailed it to me, their version of what happened. And I went with it and I reported it without, finding another third source, because the two of them backed them up, or maybe it was one source and I had additional information that supported them, and what their version. And I went with it and they lied. They they either had just a very minor role in it, or they weren't there at all, or weren't anywhere near or a part of it at all. It happens. It happens to me. It happens to Pulitzer Prize winners, that have been lied to. It happens. And sometimes these stories even get out into the mainstream media, channels, and one station will run a story, and ooh, that's going to bring in views, for our advertisers, because they are, again, they all rely upon advertisers. You have to click and watch the news to, so they can make money, so they can keep their jobs. So another station will like, well, that station ran with this. We're going to run with it at 10. We're going to run with it at 6 or whatever. That's what the story they're running. So now you got two of them. Then the third one is just as easy, because it's like dominoes then, and the whole thing can be made up. Look at the lady, that, I can't remember what her name is. One is in California, who said that she was abducted, by gang members, and the whole time she was hiding out with her ex-boyfriend. She faked the entire thing, but the whole nation and worldwide, it was even on Al Jazeera, and broadcast overseas, that she was kidnapped, and held by a prisoner by a gang, and what they burned her with a cigarette or something. I can't remember what her name is though. It doesn't matter. But she made up the whole thing, and look at how that got into mainstream media. It's amazing. Law enforcement did 11-hour search of the home, Richard Allen. It was closer to 12, Gene. I think he pulled a gun. Could have. That's one of the things about the murder of Abby and Livy, is we really do not know what the formal cause of death was, or if either one of them were raped. We don't know. All that has been sealed. We've never gotten any of that information. I mean, Sherry Pappin, thank you, Interpeas. Whole case is sick. It is, but there's a lot of giant holes throughout the entire story. Hopefully, we find out sooner than later. And a lot of people out here, a lot of curious minds. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap up tonight's live stream. I hope you all have a terrific weekend. Don't forget, tomorrow morning I will be live again at 8 a.m. So if you're new here, I hope to see you then, and I hope every one of my returning viewers and subscribers will be there as well at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, Pacific Standard Time. So if I'm on the West Coast, if you're on the East Coast, there's 3 hours of a difference there. And depending upon your time zone, you work off an hour, and the farther west you go. All right, but everyone have a good night and stay safe out there. In Reichart, try not to drive through any more blizzards. All right, stay safe out there on the roads of America. It's hard enough dealing with all the idiots on the road. You don't need incremental weather on top of it all. But good night, everyone.